You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
And hello and welcome into the Braves POSTCAST, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, or as things are going here, your team very early in the morning. The Braves out on the West Coast and unfortunately came up on the wrong end of a 4-3 score in 11 innings in the first of three against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Grant McAuley, Jake Mastroianni with you. We got a lot to talk about on this one. We'll go back through this game, which was a winnable one for the Braves, but unfortunately, runs still hard to come by for this offense. Well-pitched game, and of course, this series continues to be a rivalry between these two clubs that always seems to, come down to the last at bat or some big moment, and that was the case again on Friday. We're going to get into all of that, preview game 2 on Saturday as well. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube. Subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts as well. And this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. U.S. customers only. Jake, it was one of those nights where it felt like it was right there in the Braves' grasp, but unfortunately, L.A. had just that one more gasp, that one more breath, and they were able to take advantage of their one more chance and win this game 4-3.
A frustrating loss, obviously, on the West Coast. We keep staying up late and getting teased here, and the Braves just not able to come through. But it was a battle for them in this one. As you said, they had their chances, but being the home team, having that last at bat there, Dodgers able to walk it off. Yeah,
that they did in the bottom of the 11th. Two big offenses, of course. If you look at the numbers overall across Major League Baseball's leaderboard for teams in terms of most of the stats that you'll find, especially in the National League, you'd find the Dodgers and then the Braves right behind them. We've documented that the Braves have had a rough, I'd say, about week and a half now trying to score runs at the rate that they were to start the season. But, of course, we got a hard-fought close game with Atlanta falling by one run in 11 innings. Charlie Morton, though, gave Atlanta another solid start. This continues a trend, Jake, where the offense has not really been able to do the things that we expect it to do, though there were some encouraging signs, at least a couple of them, in this game for a couple of key Braves hitters, but the pitching has more than done its part, and Charlie Morton was in charge of that tonight.
He was, and look, it ended up being a great start for Charlie Morton, and there was a time, second, third, fourth inning, I didn't know if he was going to make it through 5 innings in this game, and then he just kind of got better as the night wore on. It looked like early in the game specifically, he was didn't have great command of that curveball, almost like he was overcooking it a lot, as you saw, and just wasn't able to control it in the strike zone like we've seen him do a lot this year, but really kind of settled down after that, got to that top of the order pretty easily for a third time, and then pitched another inning as well to get through 6. So this was another impressive outing for Charlie Morton, again, on a night where against this lineup, I felt like he really had to battle some of those command issues for really 2 or 3 innings before he got a hold of them.
Yeah, he definitely did, but it's a battle that he was able to win as he went along, and I think that's one of the things about Charlie Morton that, it can be a little bit mercurial, a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, but if you do stick with him a lot of times, if he's able to kind of navigate early struggles, he can typically find his way through it or at least give you some innings. And on this day, he was able to do both those things and give the Braves 6 innings of 2-run ball, did give up 1 solo home run. But, Jake, against a lineup like the Los Angeles Dodgers, 6 innings of 2-run ball from your starter, if you could sign up for that to start this series, I think the Braves would take 3 of those.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll take that all day, especially against the Dodgers lineup. And the key with Charlie Morton, like I said, he was struggling with that command early on. He hit James Outman, a guy you do not want to hit at the bottom of that order, but he only had 2 walks in the game. And I've talked about that with Charlie Morton. He's somebody, who's going to walk some batters, but if he can limit that and limit the home runs, he did go up the 1 in this one, which I thought was a little bit of a mistake. And from CJ Nikowski on the broadcast, sounds like he shook off Travis d'Arnaud to go to that fastball up and away. I wish he would have gone back to the curveball one more time, but thrown one a little bit closer to the plate as Hernandez was struggling laying off of that pitch. Either way, he did throw the fastball up there, and Hernandez, very strong, was able to go up and get it. So, but other than that, like I said, I thought Morton was really good in this one and being able to limit those walks. He did give up the home run, but at least it was just a solo shot and being able to navigate that. Only 6 hard hits allowed on the night. And again, it's Charlie Morton. This is your 4th starter right now. If you believe that Ronaldo Lopez has jumped him in that pecking order. And again, you'll take 6 innings to earn on most nights when this offense is going like it should and like we hopefully will see for a lot of this season. That's going to lead to a lot of wins.
Yeah, it could. And whether or not, Ronaldo Lopez or Charlie Morton is the number 3 here, it was definitely a big opportunity for Charlie. And, the trust that the Braves have in him, of course, as a veteran to start out this series against the Dodgers, having him lined up, Atlanta was pleased at least to have that option there. They're going to go Bryce Elder and Max Fried in games 2 and 3. We'll talk about those a little bit later, or at least game 2 we'll get into. But, just kind of looking at the overall, when I was sizing this up, from the starting pitchers, the probables in this one. Obviously, Tyler Glasnow gets to throw in this series for the Dodgers. He'll do so on Saturday. And again, we'll talk all about that later on. The Braves are going to get to throw Max Fried in this series, and he'll go in the finale of it. So you're not necessarily seeing those head-to-head battles between all of the pitchers that you might have expected way back when spring training began, because a lot of these guys are hurt, haven't pitched in the case of the Dodgers, or in the case of Spencer Strider, are done for the year. So this does look a little bit different, but you're going to have to count on some different guys, and Charlie Morton, somebody that the Braves could count on in this particular game. A couple of hitters, though, in the lineup, and we will definitely dig into this as we go along, that you wanted to see some signs of life from. Ronald Acuña Jr., his second home run of the year, a game-tying shot, no less. Austin Riley also homered in this game. That one came early on. Austin, we've talked about his luck and how it just seems like he's putting the ball about as far in the ballpark as you can go without hitting it over the wall. This one, 449 feet, no doubter for Austin Riley. Good to see these guys swinging a big bat here in the start of this series. Maybe it's a sign of things to come as the weekend wears on, and at the very least, as the month of May and the rest of the season wears on. These guys are going to start getting right.
They are, and you hopefully this is signs of that happening. A big spot there for Acuña to get that home run to tie the game up. Not only was it just great for him with where he's been, but also just a big moment, clutch moment for him in this game to get that game-tying home run. Austin Riley, as you mentioned, in the first inning to kind of get things going. You thought at that point maybe this offense was going to kind of take off, but that was all the Braves got until that Acuña home run in the 8th inning. But Riley 2 hits on the night, Acuña 2 hits on the night, including one in the first inning. Unfortunately, got picked off before that Riley home run.
Yeah.
But good to see those two guys, get those home runs, get those good swings. Hopefully that does get them going. There's still signs, even in this game, where you're seeing them struggle a little bit in between. Riley's still chasing that slider off the plate. He got a 3-2 count and chased one for a strikeout there in this game as well. Acuña, good on the home run. It was a fastball up, what he's really been struggling with. And it just looked like in that at bat that he sold out. He was going to look for that fastball up, and when he got it, he didn't miss it and got the home run. So we've talked about it with Riley. He seems like the one, the most of, the three we discuss a lot, Acuña, Riley, and Olsen. Riley seems like the one that's a little bit further ahead and seeing some better at bats, seeing some good balls put in play here. And again, hopefully this is the beginning of both of those guys heating up.
Yeah, the Braves certainly need that. They were expecting some big things from those guys this year, and there's still time to get that done, but it hadn't happened over the first, 5 or so weeks of the season. But a couple of home runs accounting for 2 of the Braves' 3 runs in this game. Of course, extra innings came into play. Braves came in 4-1 in extras, so obviously taking that loss. They've now played extra innings 6 times already this year, winning 4 of those. It kind of surprised me because it seemed like at least the first year of these new rules, the Braves were not having much fun with this one. They didn't have much fun on this night either. The Dodgers, though, get their first win in 4 tries in extras this year as well. Traded runs in the 10th, these two teams did. Luke Williams came in to run for Travis d'Arnaud. That turned out to be pretty big in this game because you needed his speed to tag and get over to third base and then to come in and score in that inning. The Braves did what they needed to do in the 10th, unable to plate that run in the 11th. And as the Dodgers went to bat in the bottom half of the 10th inning, I thought Raisel Iglesias was pitching Shohei Ohtani about as tough as you can, and Ohtani just leaned out over the plate and dropped a single that brought home the game-tying run. Jake, that's just a great piece of hitting, but if you're on the other side, that is frustrating when you pitch one of the game's best hitters the best way you possibly can. You try to give him nothing to beat you with, and he beats you anyway.
Yeah, that's a frustrating one for Iglesias. You come in with nobody out, a runner on second in a 1-run game, and you got to go through Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman, and he made great pitches in that inning. Unfortunately, Ohtani just long enough to be able to get the bat out there on that baseball and strong enough to be able to get it just past Iglesias' glove and then just past Arcia's glove up the middle. That's really frustrating as a Braves fan because I thought Iglesias threw the ball really well. But when you start out with that runner on second, it just takes the weakest of hits, which is what we saw when they walked it off. And that's all you had to do there. And Ohtani, like you said, just a really good hitter, able to get enough of the barrel on that one to get it past the middle of the infield.
Yeah, it was quite a big night at the bottom of the order for Andy Pages, who had 4 hits, including the walk-off hit, which came against Jesse Chavez in the bottom of the 11th. Again, they're all line drives in the box score, I guess. We use that kind of tongue-in-cheek when you get a cheap hit on your side. Well, base hits are base hits. And as we saw, I think, really in that Cleveland Guardians series, and Joe Jimenez, I don't know. I'm just glad he wasn't the one that had to come in and be the recipient of all the bad batted ball luck. But Bryce Elder, a former Angels teammate of Shohei Ohtani, no less, probably felt like he had a pretty good scope of what he needed to at least avoid. And Ohtani still just one of the best hitters on the planet, able to get the hit that gave the Dodgers a chance to eventually walk it off an inning later. We got a lot more to get into on this edition of the Braves Postcast. We'll go back to the box score, the line score, talk more about Charlie Morton's start, some of the big defensive plays we saw in this game, particularly Mr. Jared Kelenic, and a couple of other things that may be trending in the right direction, again, for Ronald Acuña Jr., for Austin Riley. But what else is going on with this Braves lineup? When are they going to break through? We'll discuss all of that as the Braves Postcast continues. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car an MVP and bring home the huge wins. That's ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Available only in the U.S. Well, a 4-3 loss for the Braves here in Game 1 of this 3-game set against the Dodgers this weekend. It happens in 11 innings for Atlanta. 3 runs, just 6 hits, no errors. The Braves left 9 men on base. They did not have a hit with runners in scoring position tonight either. They were 0 for 5 in that category. Dodgers, meanwhile, 4 runs, just 9 hits for them. They also committed an error. They left 10 men on base, but 4 hits with runners in scoring position in their 8 tries. The loser in this one, Jesse Chavez, as he falls to 1-1 on the year. And the winner is Grove, who improves to 1-1 on the season. Both of those obviously in relief, those 2 men pitching the final frame for their respective teams. As we went through what was a painful extra innings exercise for the Braves on this night, they weren't able to produce that run in the 11th inning. But a couple of things that we saw in this game early on, I would say that might have bared out later on in this game and turned out to be pretty important plays. One that cut down a run at the plate, that'd be Jared Kelenic in the 2nd inning with an absolutely outstanding throw from left field. You talked about Charlie Morton and whether or not he was going to be able to really get through the Dodgers lineup a couple of times. That throw, I think, helped get him back on track. Charlie with 6 innings of 2-run ball, 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts to hit batsmen. But that throw home, Jake, I think that was one of those that kind of gave Charlie a shot in the arm and helped get him back on the right track. And as it turned out, every run was pretty important on this night.
It was, and a great throw by Jared Kelenic. We've seen him play some outstanding defense this year with the arm, but also some great diving catches as well out there in left field. And he had 2 hard-hit balls tonight, including one in the 8th inning, a great at-bat, and he shot a ball the other way, but the Braves could just not get any ground balls through the infield on this night, and that would have been right ahead of the Ronald Acuña Jr. home run. But the great play by him to cut down a run at home plate was huge for a lot of reasons, as you mentioned, because it was about to get back to the top of the order. If that run scores, then you got Mookie Betts up there and Morton struggling with command. That was the inning that he hit James Outman, and that could have really gotten away from Charlie Morton, as you mentioned. But, was able to get through that, kind of settle down, still really struggled, in my opinion, in the next 2 innings. But, that could have turned into a really disastrous inning for him. But a big play there by Jared Kelenic to cut that run down at home.
So what I'm hearing is that you don't want to face Mookie Betts with runners all over the place and the opportunity for the Dodgers to put up a big inning.
Yeah, no, that's not ideal situation.
No, I think Charlie Morton will definitely appreciate that from Jared Kelenic, and it was one of those big plays early on. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that, there was a play for the Braves and for Ronald Acuña Jr. that he would definitely like to have back, as he was able to get on base to start the game, but picked off second right before Austin Riley hit a home run that obviously could have played at both men. I know we can play the coulda, woulda, shoulda game, and clearly that's a mistake that, again, Ronald Acuña Jr. Wishes that he had back, but that's just another example of, in this game, little things that could be big things, and as it turned out, every run that the Braves could have scored on this night could have come in handy, since they did end up in extras and they did end up coming a run short on this night. Ronald did a homer later to tie the game, so he atoned for that and then some. But it's just one of those games where when you look back on it, it's hard to overlook that one.
Certainly is, and we love Ronald's aggressiveness, and he is generally, wreaking havoc on the base pass and generating runs. So unfortunate to see him get picked off there, especially, right before a home run by Austin Riley. But you look at both teams in this game, with the Dodgers getting running into a run at home plate, although it took an incredible throw from Kelnick to do that. I'm not saying it was a bad send or anything, but Ronald also, getting picked off. So both teams kind of canceling out a run there, but just, you hate that for Ronald, but again, more times than not, you're going to love his aggressiveness on the base pass, and it is generally going to lead to more runs than outs.
Yeah, you're certainly not asking him to stop what he's doing on the base paths. He's done such an incredible job, and it is, I think, more times than not. I mean, the pitcher has to pay an incredible amount of attention to what he has going on out there or what he might be doing, and we've seen Ronald occasionally, if somebody decides that they want to wander too far away from third base in their defensive alignment, he might just take that base. So, there's a lot of things for the pitcher to have in mind when Ronald Acuña Jr. is out there, regardless of whether he's on first or on second. He's always a threat to go, and we've also seen him, just make things a little bit interesting no matter where he is out there on the base paths. It's one of the things that makes him such a dynamic player. As you looked at Ronald's overall night, though, that home run, some hard hit balls in this one, Jake. The homer, though, clearly makes you feel like, all right, perhaps there's a little bit of sign of adjustment here, particularly with it being versus the fastball. I think it's no surprise. He's seen a lot of those pitchers. I mean, the book has always been try to get in, try to get up and in. I mean, not necessarily hitting him, but try to own that part of the strike zone if you can. And I think that's the adjustment that Ronald's looking to make right now, is to show that, hey, I can either fight those off to the point where you're going to have to try something else, or I'm going to start putting the ball in play all over the field and or over the wall. And it's going to get back to him seeing perhaps a bit more of a, enjoyable diet of pitches than the one that he's seen over the past month.
Yeah, I mean, pitchers just haven't really been scared at all to go up and in and up with the fastball to Ronald, because he just hasn't made that adjustment yet. That's why I thought it was so big. The home run that he had was on a fastball up, and in that at bat, he took some sliders down and away, some really good sliders, and you can just tell that's not what was on his mind. He was going to sit high fastball, and he got one in that count. I believe it was a 3-2 pitch, and was able to get it. But one thing that I look at, with Ronald this year is he's become just really pull happy. And what made him, again, so special last year, other than not striking out as much and cutting that strikeout rate, is that he would just drop the barrel on the bat and shoot balls the other way. And I'm not seeing that a lot this year, especially on those fastballs. I know that all of them, they're up right now that he's getting, but even in that last at bat in the final inning there, he got a pitch down and away, and that's a pitch last year that Ronald just shoots the other way for an easy single, but he has almost a 50% pull rate this year. That's 10% higher than it was last year. And I feel like he's just getting a little too pull happy. He's obviously a little off right now altogether, but that's just another thing to kind of look at with him right now, is that he's just really trying to pull everything, and he's taken away part of what made him so special last year and just taking those singles the other way.
Yeah, but I think that adjustment can come, and I think that it will come eventually. And hey, look, I don't think anybody's saying, hey, Ronald needs to adjust so he can hit more singles. But to your point, it's more of the overall threat that he can be at the plate, where you just can't go different places to get him out, because he'll find his way on base there too. And that's how you lead the National League in hits or Major League Baseball in hits. And Ronald Acuña Jr. did that a year ago, not hitting his way on base quite as much. And I think some of that is from exactly what you said. A lot of pulling the ball, but once he starts to hit the ball with authority up the middle and to right center and maybe even over to right field, he can homer from any direction that you want him to. That's never really a question. But once he starts having that more consistent contact going to all fields, we'll know that Ronald Acuña Jr. is getting back to the player that he was last year and the player that he certainly has a chance to be over the course of the rest of this season. Home run, though, a very good sign. Hard hit balls, also a good sign. Homerless streak for the Braves ended at 5 games, Jake, but Atlanta's offense overall did not do much. 6 hits and 1 walk. It's still just not clicking for Atlanta, and we're going on about a week and a half of runs being very, very hard to come by for an offense that we never really thought was going to go too many days, let alone a week, where they weren't going to be able to put up a big crooked number, hit a bunch of home runs, and really remind you why they are perhaps the best offense in baseball. It just hadn't looked like that over the last week or 10 days.
It has not, and it's frustrating from a fan's perspective because that's the one thing you can count on from this Braves team, and the one thing we could count on all year is that, despite some of this pitching injuries and struggles that they had last year, you could count on this offense to give you 5-6 runs a game, and it's just not happening right now. And so it's not something we're really accustomed to with this Braves offense over the last several years at the moment with the guys that they have and the guys that are struggling right now. It'd be one thing if Acuña was going through a little bit of a cold spell or just Riley was, but 3 of your top 4 hitters and probably your 3 best hitters are all struggling at the same time. It's going to make things really, really difficult. And then if the other guys in the lineup who have been so good, they start to cool off a little bit, then obviously you're going to have what you have right now and just struggling to score runs. And look, they've gone up against good pitching teams. Gavin Stone had a really good changeup tonight, 9 whiffs on 16 swings against that changeup. It was a really good one. But I don't care who's pitching against this Braves offense. When they are playing like they're capable of, I don't care if it's Tyler Glasnow on Saturday. If they all of a sudden decide and wake up and become the guys that we know they can be, they can hit any pitcher in baseball and give any team fits offensively. It's just not there right now. And again, we're going on a 2-week stretch, and they're going to get there, but it is a pretty frustrating time right now for this offense.
Yeah, and I'm sure nobody's more frustrated than the guys who are up there searching for answers. Guys like Matt Olson, who have been mired in a long slump now. Talked a little bit about Austin Riley and a little bit about Ronald Acuña Jr., but for Matt Olson, not a whole lot to talk about in the results department. But again, that could change at any given point, and perhaps Saturday will be that day, as Jake just brought up. And we're going to talk about Saturday as we continue here on the Braves Postcast. Bryce Elder set to face Tyler Glasnow. The Dodgers have the 1-0 lead in this series. Will the Braves be able to make some adjustments at the plate? We'll discuss that next on the Braves Postcast. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. Baseball season in full swing. Month of May is already upon us, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Take your pick, more or less, add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Download the app and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That is LOCKEDONMLB on the Prize Picks app. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends and get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress with your buddies. There's so much to do, including playing on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, making your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, and charge your other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and tournaments and get extra rewards and climb that leaderboard. Download Monopoly Go free. It's available right now in the App Store or on Google Play. Well, Jake, game 2 of this series will see Bryce Elder go to the mound, making his 3rd start of the season since coming up from AAA Gwinnett. First 2 have gone really well. Friday, a hard-fought game. It could be an indication of what we're in for this weekend, or one or both of these offenses could just decide to go buck wild one of these days. We'll find out. I will say this for Bryce Elder, and then we'll get to Tyler Glasnow. Seeing the Miami Marlins and the Cleveland Guardians may not get you prepared for what LA is going to be trotting out there, including 3 MVPs at the top of their order.
That's why Friday night was so important in this series. You feel pretty good about the matchup on Sunday with Fried, but Saturday was going to be a tough one all along. Elder, Braves 5th starter versus Tyler Glasnow, the Dodgers' best starter. Just on paper, just not a great matchup for the Braves. And the fact that you had to use a lot of your resources out of the bullpen to try and get a win with an extra innings game on Friday, you drop that one. And now things are looking pretty grim for the Braves to win this series. But it is baseball. Things can happen. And if you want to look optimistically, last May 24th against the Dodgers, Bryce Elder, 6 innings, just 1 earned run allowed. And then even last September, when he was struggling a little bit in LA, 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, and somehow only gave up 1 earned run. So 2 starts against them last year, only gave up 2 earned runs combined. But this is a Dodgers team that we saw against Morton a lot tonight. Many of those hitters are not going to chase. And we talk about it a lot with Elder. He has got to live in that gray area, either on the edges or right off. He's got to be able to get hitters to swing at those pitches and get that weak contact. And this Dodgers hitter's not going to chase very often. And now you got a bullpen. They had the off day on Thursday. They got 2 off days coming up this week. So we'll see how aggressive Snicker's going to be with that bullpen if they're close in this game.
Yeah, well, we saw Dave Roberts managing this game like it was Game 7 of the World Series between all the changes and all the different plays that he wanted to challenge or at least think about challenging throughout the course of the night. I don't know if that means that Brian Snitker will change his managerial cap or style and start using the bullpen like it's the 2021 NLCS, but perhaps he will do that. We'll find out. But you mentioned the off day. The other thing to note is that because of the Braves' success in the starting rotation over the last 2 weeks, especially, Atlanta's bullpen has thrown the third fewest innings in all of Major League Baseball. I may have mentioned that on this show. I know I've mentioned it on other ones, but that's just something to keep in mind as far as this bullpen has not been overworked. They want to keep it that way, but that might lead to some availability for some guys in order to help get through what could be a challenging weekend. Extra innings certainly doesn't help. And for those who might have been wondering, well, why go Jesse Chavez? If it were a lead, I think we would have saw Pierce Johnson. But as we know, once the game was tied, the Braves were going to have to go back to bat, try to take the lead, and then somebody was going to have to close out that game. And I think that's why that particular pitching matchup was what it was. And Jesse Chavez, I think, had a chance there to maybe help the Braves bridge and save the bullpen a little bit as well if that play had worked out.
Yeah, and look, want to give credit to the bullpen tonight. AJ Minter, what a huge inning that he had getting out of a jam there. We mentioned Iglesias threw the ball really well, Jimenez, and then, I mean, Jesse Chavez could have gotten out of that inning. I know we hadn't really talked about it much, but I thought Pages swung. Obviously, I'm biased. Yep. And then even that, you get the bloop that just in no man's land there. Thought maybe Michael Harris could have at least laid out with that for that ball. Who knows, even if he catches it, might not even be able to get up and get Will Smith, but just an unfortunate result there for Jesse Chavez, who could have wiggled out of that, giving the Braves another chance there.
Yeah, you leave your feet at that point. I don't think you're going to be able to get up and make the throw home, but, you know, it's at that point, the game is over either way. So I guess you could do what you feel like you need to that gives you the best chance to make a throw home. But that seemed to be a pretty hopeless dynamic in and of itself. And that seemed to be just the way the Dodgers won this game. And again, a hit's a hit, and they got the hits when they needed them to in extra innings, and they scored the runs, not just in the 10th, but in the 11th, runs plural. And that's what helped them to win this game. Braves are going to have their hands full with Tyler Glasnow. A great start for LA's new ace. He's 5-1 and with an ERA well under 3. He's looked extremely good. This is exactly what they got him for. And with everything else kind of patchwork at best in their rotation, Jake, they have to be thrilled with what they've gotten from Tyler Glasnow thus far.
Yeah, I mean, he's been as advertised. Now, he's had a couple of hiccups this past month, gave up 3 earned against the Giants. First start in April, gave up 6 runs against Washington in the middle of April, but his last 2 times out, 19 strikeouts. So he definitely has that strikeout stuff, something this Braves offense in this rut they're in have really been struggling with. So that'll be something to watch. He also left his last outing with some cramping in his hand. Sounds like everything is fine there, but maybe something to keep an eye on. But again, at some point, I don't care who's pitching, this offense is going to have to get on track.
Yeah, and not only that, I think that no matter who's pitching, they have the capability of getting on track. So if they were able to jump for maybe some of those first inning runs that were such a big thing in 2023, I know the cool thing this year apparently is score late, though they weren't able to score late enough tonight to win the game. It's funny how, 1 year apart, this Braves offense is doing things very differently than it did a year ago, despite many of the names being the same as they were in 2023 when this lineup was so good. But the bottom line is the talent is there, and the Braves have the capability of putting a crooked number up. Can they do it against Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers on Saturday? We'll find out. Bryce Elder will be on the mound for the Braves. Game 2 of this 3-game series as Atlanta's road trip continues with this weekend series in LA at 9:10 p.m. Eastern time. First pitch for the Braves and Dodgers on Saturday. That's going to bring us to the end of this edition of the Braves Postcast. As always, we appreciate you riding along with us. Make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube. Leave us those likes and comments. Share the show with a friend as well. And subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Grant McAuley. We will catch you later this weekend. And until then, so long, everyone.